Hey everybody. Sorry about that, didn't have my gear ready. Today I'm out at Prayer Rock and we're taking more video on some higher climbs. I received some information and did some research, and apparently there are hundreds of more petroglyph sites along these cliffs. So, and what I've located is like a major thoroughfare where they seem to have used this to elevate themselves into the higher elevations. And this area looks to still be largely ceremonial, but this is actually more of an encampment. You can see several areas where they could use this area for shelter. Some of them have petroglyph images, but mostly it's like fire burnings, that kind of thing on the rocks. So you can tell that there are occupations here, and there are petroglyphs here too. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I've reached my elevation standard for today, and I have one more climb to do, so I'm kind of conserving my energy. And I'm finishing up looking for some higher petroglyphs and rock art. Not a lot right here, but I did pass some on the way up. I'm mostly just paying attention to these large rocks because they seem to be very fascinated with the larger rocks, if you know what I mean. So my son's up the hill and he's reaching up to a little bit of a different elevation. But howdy! There he is. And you can make it up? I think that's it. Anyway, there's, you can see where they use these for dwellings and things like that, and kind of congregated here. There's a lot of shade in the region. That was important to the natives. It also protected them from rockfall. But, and this is very well-worn territory. You can tell humans have been up here a lot. They've worn this. They're campsites, they're burn pits. Some of them are quite old. But again, people do camp here too, so it's hard to tell what's ancient and what's not. But this area, we start to see, well, there's a Bubba glyph. Somebody tried writing their name. Unfortunately, trail people come along and get rid of that junk lately, so I'm glad they did. I just wish people would put away their paints and their drawing sticks and act like mature children. I'm going to go down this way because it's a nice gentle slope. And this way I can map it out for my wife a little bit too. And this really is a nice degrading little stairwell kind of a climb. And I'm getting a chance to kind of explore some other rocks in the area. And we'll see those other petroglyphs in a minute, but up in here, this is a fresh set. There's a minor set of glyphs up in there. You can see where they've been carving on the ceiling. And they're not very well done, but that was probably like a practice site, but people were camping in that cave. And that's just a rock structure formation cave. That's the kind of stuff you want to try to look for the main panels to get drawn to them. The shaman was responsible for those panels is what I'm told. He's a storyteller. He had more than a healing job. So as I pick my way down, I'm kind of carefully looking at different sections of rock to see what I can identify. Because you can tell this section of rock was a dwelling. It has worn pathing. It's easily navigable. And you can see where they had done modifications. Some carvings up in the caves. And like back in here, that is a fully enclosed shelter. I'm actually going to go explore that before I head back down, just to prove my point. And here is another area. Looks like they started on some minor glyphs here, but if the rocks are real bumpy like that, they'll move away from them. I've noticed. I'll just do a few, kind of like address markings, I don't know. And then up in here, this would have been a very prime living area. Oh, absolutely. This would have been highly valued, and you can see some initial glyph work in here. But mostly this is where the fires were, and then you had this. And I'm told you seek out structures like this because sometimes there'll be stories in here too. And you can tell where they've been doing some pinging. Kind of like household carving, I guess, but you know, if I were a mountain dweller, this is one area I would occupy. Down at the bottom, I'm going to start working my way down now. I appreciate your patience. That large rock you see in the distance, that is a panel. So I'm going to go back down the sawtooth here. Or the switchback, excuse me. And I notice interesting features. The more and more I climb, the more and more I do this searching. You learn to read the land a little better. You know, it's just interesting how things erode, so on and so forth. But these are the types of panels that you want to look for. But lichen's taken over this rock pretty well. But here we go. We start with a goose figure over here. Another bird up there with the long beaks and the long legs. And again, look at the height. You can see that guy there. There. I'm coming! And there. There's sunshine. And then starting from the top, looks like uppermost reach, we got another, looks like either a planetary map, because it seems to run down like little moon pieces in a pattern. And then here we got a guy standing here, and there's little pock marks coming out of his head. That's right next to that piece of sun. You see that a lot in the petroglyphs. Then you get a lot of this. This is the elk prints here and here and here and here. The elk's crossing. There's like a river carved into here. There's another one here. As you get closer, it's almost as wish I had a light to cast to the side of it. But here you see bear prints. Here you see, you know, the bear paw again, the six-toed bear paw. I'm going to point that out. It's got 6 toes. Why does that bear have 6 toes? And why do they keep repeating it? And again, why do these figures have these weird-ass heads with the long, flowing earpieces? You know what I mean? And then there's some tall, weird-looking guy up here. And all this other stuff. And then sadly, again, everybody keeps putting their wear marks on life. But here we follow the elk tracks again. More elk tracks over there. And then we have the spirals and the swigglies up top. They probably climbed on this rock to do that art. It's not as big as the full panel down below, but you can tell where they were paying ceremony to something. And these were supposed to be wintering grounds from my understanding. There, up there, we have another one.
Where to next?
Right here. What's that?
Where are we going next?
Shaman's panel. It's about a quarter mile that way. It's not that draw, but the next one over.
Gotcha.
There's a creature. Anamorph with a squiggly tail carved up in there. Looks like they were mounting and doing work here. You've got wall scratches. Those tend to be tool marks. I'm also told there's stones up here with tooling on them because it... Huh? Cool. What was that?
I'm coming down.
Cool. And then you can see some lightly scribed ones in here. Some of them are kind of indistinguishable, but I definitely see that guy and a human figure. A couple other figures wearing their time out. And you got to remember this desert varnish is kind of exposed to the sun and to the wind, so they're wearing. But nothing on these rocks that I can see. But it's hard to say because, again, and like here, I know there are glyphs on that, but they've worn them out so much that they're incomplete. Let me come in a little closer. There, you can see the animals in there. It's like somebody was resting in this pocket, carving away. And not a lot of, well, there's some marking down there, but that looks a little more like for a reason. And it looks like they kept a fire back in here for some reason. So a lot of smoke markings coming out of that cavern. So that was amazing. We did find another full panel. And continuing down to Prayer Rock. Again, it's a nice natural sloping climb and descent. Trying not to get out of control. I swear I need a backpack. And we're working our way down. And as you see in the distance, there's the car. And if you've been watching the films or subscribing, you notice prayer rock in the distance. So there's one more rock I want to check out here. I discussed it in the last visit. And he is way out there with the other tree. So I'm told there's a panel on that thing too. And we did notice the circular pattern that they tend to carve in to give them what they need. That's all I got. And now I've finished that, I'm just trying to see if I see any more on the way down, because I see a lot of traffic activity up in here. But I'm not seeing much. Love you, dear. Yeah, that's about it. Fascinating area, but you can tell they occupied it. I'd love to take more time to explore it, and my son's doing some high climbing up there, so we'll see what he's got to report. But thanks for joining us at the Prayer Rock visit. Today is May 18th, 2022. That's my wife Sherry. This is me, Craig, and I'm going to take an easier way out of here because I had to go through a lot of sagebrush to get up this hill, and my legs are itching. Thanks for watching. Peace. Sure.